Hello and very warm welcome at Amish Shackle 585. I am Amish Shackle. Foreign news have been reported by American, European, Asian, African, Australian news channels and the news agencies. So please let's go to the headlines.
World News Tonight, America's most watched newscast. Now streaming same day with all the breaking news of the day on Disney Plus. Most watched, most trusted. Now on Disney Plus every night.
Tonight, the breaking news just as we come on. Multiple tornado warnings and watches on the map right now. Life-threatening storms stretching across several states at this hour. Wisconsin right down to Texas and then moving east. Major cities involved: Chicago, St. Louis, Kansas City. Watching for tornadoes and damaging winds. This is all on the move. Then moving eastward. Lee Goldberg has the forecast. Also breaking this Friday night, the war in Iran. Iran tonight saying the Strait of Hormuz is open. Tonight, President Trump telling Jonathan Karl he believes there could be a deal in days. The president telling John he can now trust the Iranians. The president saying Iran has agreed to allow the U.S. to take its enriched uranium. But tonight, Iran saying we have agreed to no such thing. The wild swing, meantime, on Wall Street. The market's up, oil prices down, driven by the president's words. And what about Main Street? If there is a deal with Iran right now, how long will it take for gas prices to come down? A reality check tonight where prices could be on Labor Day. Tonight, the images of a singer arrested in connection with the video tense moments as he was taken into custody and how long that victim was in the trunk. Tonight, the husband is missing. He says falling off a boat and swept away in the Bahamas. He has now left the island and her family is now there. And what they're telling ABC News and what that husband's now telling us why he left. Tonight, the former NBA player and coach set to plead guilty in a sweeping federal gambling investigation, allegedly involving the mafia as well. Prosecutors say he sold inside information to people betting on the games, including when LeBron James was injured, telling them to bet against the Lakers before the game even started. Eric Gutersky is here. Tonight, just in the high-speed crash and the remarkable moments, pulling a baby to safety. The police chased the suspect climbing on top of a stolen car while it was still moving, jumping out of the highway trying to escape. Tonight, a cruise ship ordered to pay a passenger $300,000. She claims she was overserved, 15 tequila shots in a matter of hours, then falling down the stairs on that ship, suffering severe injuries. What the cruise line is now saying tonight. Tonight, he's done it again. 25 wins in a row. Can he keep going this evening? The history made already. The endangered baby clouded leopards here in the U.S. and the milestone tonight, what they have now done. And we remember a Major League star tonight and World Series champion, his sudden death at just 53. From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with David York. Good evening. We begin tonight here with the breaking news. There are multiple tornado warnings and watches up on the map right now as we come on. The threat across several states. The National Weather Service tonight saying that this storms west, now moving east. Possible tornadoes, severe thunderstorms, large hail, and flash flooding from Texas right up to Wisconsin. Major cities in the potential path of Chicago, Wisconsin.
Is completely open for all commercial vessels for the period of the Middle East ceasefire. It was not clear whether Abbas Araghchi was speaking of the 10-day truce agreed to by Lebanon and Israel that went into effect at midnight, or if he meant an earlier 2-week truce between Iran and the United States that began on the 8th of April. The channel is crucial for the global oil trade, and its closure over the past weeks has resulted in a severe energy crisis and caused the price of fuel to surge. Stocks and bond prices jumped on Friday, while oil dropped by as much as 10% to below $90 a barrel following the announcement. US President Donald Trump posted a thank you on his Truth Social platform, but says a naval blockade on Iran will stay in place until a peace deal is signed. Global oil prices tumbled sharply on Friday, while stock markets surged after Iran announced the full reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, easing fears of a prolonged energy disruption. Benchmark U.S. crude dropped more than 10%, falling to just over $81 a barrel, while Brent crude also saw a steep decline. The move signals renewed confidence that oil supplies can once again flow freely from the Persian Gulf to the global market. The announcement sparked a strong rally surge response to this. The major brands 2%. However, it might close to announcement. Headline news this hour. Iran has declared the Strait of Hormuz completely open for commercial vessels for the remaining period of its ceasefire with the U.S. And President Donald Trump hailed the news, but says restrictions on Iranian ports will remain in place.
When the agreement is signed, the blockade ends. As soon as the agreement gets signed, that's when the blockade ends.
Tensions over the U.S. blockade angering Tehran's top negotiator, Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, Speaker of Iran's parliament, threatened to once again shut Hormuz, as maritime tracking data shows only a small number of vessels have tried to pass through the key waterway. And Lebanese President Joseph Aoun says a ceasefire agreed with Israel should lead to permanent agreements. He thanked the U.S. and regional players for their role in securing the 10-day truce in his first televised address since the temporary halt to violence was announced. And that's the latest from the CNN newsroom.
Press down.
Yes. Press down, press down, press down, press down. Yeah. Okay, so we right here. Press the lid down.
Straight up, I love to dance.
Hello, you're watching Sky News. I'm Nick Croce. Here are the headlines at 3. Oil prices fall as Iran declares it has opened the Strait of Hormuz, but Donald Trump insists his blockade on Iranian ships and ports remains in place. In Lebanon, people return to their homes in the south after a 10-day ceasefire is agreed with Israel. Here, under new pressure to resign, Keir Starmer pleads ignorance over revelations Lord Mandelson failed vetting before being appointed US ambassador.
But I wasn't told that it failed security vetting when I was telling Parliament that due process abuse is unforgivable.
Plus, a nursery in the West Midlands has been fined and one of its staff jailed over the death of a 14-month-old baby who was restrained and placed face down to sleep. Hello, thank you for joining us on this Saturday. Oil and gas prices are tumbling after Iran and the US.
AFL and NRL live and ad-free this season on ABC Listen.
Today, Iran announces the temporary reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, while the US President insists his naval blockade will continue.
Will remain in full force and effect as it pertains to Iran until such time as our transaction with Iran is 100% complete.
Australia's fuel reserves climbed to pre-crisis levels, while the price of oil plunges by 10%. government's call for a crackdown on platforms not abiding by social media laws, with reports kids are slipping through the cracks. And the Swans defeat cross-city rivals GWS in their lightning-interrupted derby in Sydney. Hello, welcome to ABC News. I'm Lorna Dunkley.
Hello and welcome to Night Watch from France 24. I'm Charlotte Hughes and here are our top stories at this hour. Tehran threatens to close the Strait of Hormuz if the US does not lift its naval blockade of Iranian ports. This after Iran's foreign minister announced that the vital shipping lane is now open to all commercial vessels. Fireworks in the Lebanese capital Beirut celebrate the start of a 10-day ceasefire on Friday, following 6 weeks of fighting between Israel and Hezbollah. The ceasefire seems to be largely holding, but some analysts warn that it is fragile. And an 85-year-old Frenchwoman held in US federal immigration detention has returned home to France. Following her husband's death, Marie-Thérèse Ross's stepson allegedly intervened to have her taken into immigration custody earlier this month amid a dispute over the estate.
This is DW. These are our top stories. President Donald Trump says the US blockade of Iranian ports will remain in force despite the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz. Iran's foreign minister says the waterway remain open to shipping during the 10-day ceasefire in Lebanon. Around 50 countries, led by Britain and France, have agreed to set up a naval mission to secure the strait, a vital global energy trade route. Oil prices fell sharply after Iran announced the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz. Crude slid from around $95 a barrel to near 86, while Wall Street stocks hit record highs. Shipping companies remain cautious about sending vessels through the strait. The US says it's working with Iran to remove sea mines, while Tehran insists all transits must be coordinated with Iranian forces. Thousands of displaced Lebanese families are making their way home following the 10-day truce with Israel. Authorities say more than 2,000 people were killed and more than 1 million displaced by fighting between Israel and the militant group Hezbollah. Israel says its troops will remain in southern Lebanon.
The conventional wisdom on AI is that it's bad for the environment. Data.
Retired Vice Admiral Mark Fox with us now, former Deputy Commander of CENTCOM. Sir, good to have you back, and good morning to you. This story is happening in real time. I want to let you know what the President sent out 4 minutes ago on Truth. Here we go. The USA will get all nuclear dust created by our great B-2 bombers. No money will exchange hands in any way, shape, or form. This deal is in no way subject to Lebanon either, but the U.S. will separately work with Lebanon and deal with the Hezbollah, as he describes it, Hezbollah situation in an appropriate manner. Israel will not be bombing Lebanon any longer. They are prohibited from doing so by the USA. Admiral, good morning to you. Go ahead and size it up. What do you think's moving here and why?
Well, there are a lot of moving pieces here, Bill. I think the key thing to focus on is the fact that the Iranian economy is driven by revenue from oil. And when their oil when we enforced the blockade, then they ceased receiving the vast majority of the money that they've used to fuel their economy, but also to fuel their proxies and to build their rockets and to shoot their neighbors. So this is hard, real military action that creates economic stress on the Iranian regime.
Admiral Fox, I'm just curious what you think about how we continue to keep the Straits safe. Because if it reopens, obviously, you're going to have a lot of transit there. The president has said we're not going anywhere. Our ships are staying there. We have about 15 ships in the region. It just brings to mind that the UK and France said, once you get this whole thing settled, we'll send over some ships there to help you out to hold it. How concerned are you about the ongoing safety of the Strait and the potential for terrorism along the lines of the USS Cole that we saw years ago?
Well, the very thing that creates the geography that makes the Strait of Hormuz a choke point also makes it a very easy thing to blockade, in that this is really driven by intelligence and surveillance and knowing where Iranian invest. Even though we've only got a relatively small number of ships, 15 or so, the geography of it funnels it down. This is up to the Iranians now as to whether or not they want to function like a real government, or if they're going to be a pariah state. I go back to
On this Friday night, Iran reopens the Strait of Hormuz for now. How the Israel-Lebanon ceasefire has opened a vital oil supply route. Why a U.S. blockade is complicating the arrangement as the war takes a devastating toll on civilians.
All those who were martyred were doctors, engineers, intellectuals, and educated people.
Doug Ford's sky-high
Thank you for watching. I'm Shakil 5858. I hope you will come again. Have a good life. Bye-bye.